You're listening to Funny Peculiar with Jeff Downs.
Welcome to another episode of Funny Peculiar. Thanks for downloading, thanks for listening, thanks for your continued support. As always, on my quest for great guests, which continues, and I've got some brilliant ones coming up, but this week is no exception. I've got the marvellous, magnificent Jay Coates, who runs Cognitive Merchant, which is down at Airborne Studios in Manchester, and there he works with a lot of the Monster Cirque team, which are performers. Now I've interviewed his partner Bea Noir, who's part of that, and it's Jay this week, and Jay does a lot of event hosting as well as the leather work, and they go to lots of con shows, you know, like Comic Con or the different cons that you get, conferences for that sort of stuff. So I've got a few addresses to give you now. Check them out on Instagram. That's Cognitive Merchant on Instagram, or JW_Spotlight. But on Facebook, it's Cognitive Merchant or Anthony J. Coates. But they've got a website, www.thecognitivemerchant.co.uk, and Twitter, Cognitive Merch. You can get them there. I'll list all of this in the show's bios on the website, and it'll come up on iTunes as well. So it was a great time when I went down there. Halfway through, we popped back to the studio, and I saw all the leather workshop where they do it all, and I talk you around that. So anyway, get ready for this one. It's a great episode. I really enjoyed chatting with Jay. So without further ado, take it. And by the way, I'll just apologise now to Graham, my friend who likes to listen. Fantastic is mentioned more than once. I'm sorry about that. I'm getting better and trying to control that. Of course, it's all fantastic what they do, but I must get to a thesaurus. But anyway, let's get down to Airborne Studios and meet Jay Coates. So, welcome to another episode of Funny Peculiar, and this week I'm with Jay Coates. And hello, Jay.
Hey.
Hey, I'll get that out of the way first. And we're in a dance studio at the moment because we've been. There's a lot of people turning up for pole dancing. Is that
yes.
right?
So, yeah, we're at Airborne Studios in Manchester.
And there's a lot going on here, and we have, and we'll go down later to see your workshop with all the leather work. Now you are Cognitive Merchant, which is your leatherwork company, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a geeky leatherworking company. So we make lots of things out of leather, but we aim at tabletop gaming and people that do LARP, like live action role play.
Brilliant. Okay, that's we'll get into that later. That's interesting to me because I think definitely a child from the 80s remember Dungeons and Dragons on television and kind of that annoying arcade game that nobody could actually do.
Nope.
And it's come sort of full circle to this big business. Yeah. And then you're also event host for the Monster Cirque, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's a nice little caveat there for you're the only male performer, or you're a compere in an all-girl.
Yeah, I'm like an honorary girl in Monster Cirque. I'm their honorary gobshite on the stage. Yeah.
So, and just to say to anybody, to all people listening, go to your Instagram account now because Jay's on there with all your pictures. So what's your Instagram account?
It is JW_Spotlight.
Fantastic. So as we are talking, you'll be able to look through all the pictures, and also we'll probably mention other people because your partner Bea Noir, who I've interviewed already, she was great. Now she does fire eating. And what doesn't she
everything.
do?
She does everything. If it's crazy and scary or just not normal, that's what she normally goes for.
And will she turn to you and go, I've just had an idea for, I'm going to try doing this?
Yeah, her latest one was wanting to learn to do knife throwing and using me as the target. So not nervous about that at all, no. Especially over dinner when she decides to. So suddenly you're now the willing volunteer. Yeah, that's basically it. She tells me of something crazy that she's going to do, and I go, okay. Once I'm over that initial shock, then I might help her with like maybe some extra ideas with it, or just kind of fluff it out a little bit because we tend to bounce ideas off each other quite well.
And in this sort of environment as well, it is about ideas, I take it.
Yeah, very much so. It's like there's not a lot out there that's original anymore, and a lot of it is just finding something that's as original as you can make it, and then also the actual style and execution of how you're doing the performance, and just having a little I don't know, a little oomph, a little fluff with it, a little bump, and just making sure that it's enjoyable for everybody.
And so, and when you started this, and how did you actually get into the whole performance of comparing the event?
Well, being Bea's partner, I was going to a lot of the Monster gigs with her and just kind of working as fire safety, which for Monster Cirque basically isn't anything because I've never seen them need me. Right. I basically stand there and hold a fire extinguisher and a fire blanket that just doesn't ever need to get used.
And this is in case, if nobody hasn't catch the other podcasts, of Bea does explain, especially when you're doing fire performance, there are health and safety issues.
We always make sure that everything's there. All the girls get kind of trained on health and safety, and while they're performing, because they can't have eyes everywhere and be kind of doing a performance to the audience and be keeping an eye on everything. The kind of boyfriends of the group, or the crew, as it were, we act as fire safety. Okay. So we make sure that there's fire extinguishers and that the mats are down, and we just basically keep an eye on everything.
Sure. And you've not had to jump in. Okay,
no,
that's good news.
Nothing so far, not in 4 years. But yeah, I was the way that I got into the comparing side was I was going down with Bea quite a lot, and then there was a gig that we were doing in a really great rock bar in Burnley called Sanctuary, and on the way there I got a message off Kiri basically saying, oh, there's going to be quite a lot of dead time because we've got to like set up a pole and take that down, and we've got to do this, and we're going on as a group, blah blah, and we don't want the audience to be disappearing for 2 minutes and then trying to get them back.
Sure.
So do you fancy just announcing us on and off, and then just a thanks, Jay? like there wasn't a choice in it. It was just you're doing it. So I was like, okay.
How did that make you feel? What was the instant?
Terrified at first, and it still does. Every single show terrifies me. But I had been, had kind of been hosting something called Dr. Sketchy, which was performances, and then you sketch them afterwards, like a life art class, but with performances. On that, I don't feel like I'm comparing. I am literally just saying, and now you've got 15 minutes to sketch this person,
right?
And just getting them to give a round of applause. Because I've done that, Kiri thought, right, throw them in at the deep end.
And this is Kiri, who runs the Monster Cirque.
Yeah. She's known as Dolly Monster.
Oh, right, okay.
With Monster Cirque. But yeah, she did that. We went there. I got the list of who was going on and what acts they were doing. And she just told me to be filthy and horrible because it's kind of the opposite to the way that I normally am. Being around performers and models quite a lot.
So who did you model yourself on? Was it a film character?
No, it was just
film?
I think because when we play a lot of tabletop gaming,
right?
I'm used to kind of role playing a character, so I kind of think up characters in my head. And she said just be dirty and disgusting, so I instantly went with a kind of horrible Cockney accent,
right?
Which was terrible and really hard to keep up for the hours that we were there. And yeah, I just decided
a bit like Noel Fielding from Mighty Bruce, the guy he does.
I was just horrible, and she just said just be opposite to yourself, and it will be hilarious.
Was that good to?
Because I'd gone from being somebody who's normally very respectful around the girls and is, how can I put it, is very non-sexual around like the performers, to just being an absolute pervert and just trying to come out with really gross, disgusting things to say, and then firing that at the audience. And
did they respond? Did you feel?
The audience of Sanctuary, they're really up for a laugh. They get involved, they have a real good joke with it, and then the way that my kind of style, as it were, happened was on that night. Something happened backstage, and I needed to make more time. Right. So I couldn't just say, and that was such and such. Are we ready for another act? This is such and such.
Right, okay.
Something had gone wrong. They needed more time filling in, and I was like, So I decided to just tell everybody how lucky I was to be working with these beautiful, amazing, clever women, and I wasn't always that lucky. And then I just told them about some other girls that I'd worked with in the past, and stupidity, and then I just started telling stories from my life that had made me laugh. Some of them I exaggerated a little, and they loved it. They thought it was hilarious. So I was like, okay, cool, right, that's the way I go, is observational humour. Okay.
Fantastic. And that was really thrown in there at the deep end on that one. So, and you made it through. That's brilliant. So, and how long have you been doing that for now, since that baptism of fire?
2.5 years, maybe. Yeah, about 2.5 years.
And what do you wear now? Because a lot of the people I interview, so everybody has a bit of a costume. So do you have a bit of a leather trench coat, or do you?
It used to just be like a bright coloured suit. But now that we're doing lots of leather working, and Monster Circ their style is very kind of leather warrior woman, like Mad Max style.
Yes.
So now I will wear things like, I still kind of go suited and booted, but I'll add things to it. So I'll have maybe a black suit and some black shoulder armour with it, maybe a leather top hat, and things like that. So I just kind of try to still wear my suit, but pimp it out with just like leather ornamentation.
No, fantastic, because you're wearing, just sitting here with you now, and you have, I love the hair.
Bright green and
bright green sort of
mohawk,
fantastic, and brilliant tattoos as well. Which
we keep it colourful.
They're just I'll describe, what's this one here, because it's got like sort of scientific shapes.
So this symbol, it's the symbol for serotonin.
Okay.
Because obviously that's what you get when you're made laugh, or for the things that you really enjoy in life. And also, I medically lack serotonin.
Really?
So I'm always trying to find ways to get that little bit more.
You medically lack serotonin.
Yeah, so it's like depression. My body doesn't produce serotonin the way it should do.
Oh, I see. Right.
So I just take tablets to help that, but I'm always trying to find ways to do that. Like when we're in the workshop, we'll have like lots of upbeat music on, or I'll have things like podcasts and stuff. Say like Ricky Gervais and Carl Pilkington. Like that shit just makes me laugh myself silly. So we'll have that on, and each day we try to do things to keep things colourful, like my hair, and it just. I think it helps you just kind of have that little extra serotonin, keep you smiling through the day.
That's brilliant. I never knew that.
That's the symbol for serotonin. And then the words, because I've got a sleeve full of watercolour and quotes. All the quotes are from some of my favourite books. So mainly things like Terry Pratchett's Discworld. But they all have a little meaning to me, and they've all really meant something to me at certain points in my life.
Sure. That's a good way. I think lots of people go for obviously different styles of tattoos, but that's a really.
I like to be able to look at different bits of my body art, and for it to each and every one of them remind me of something good. So I have like Manchester bees on one arm, because that reminds me of my partner, because she's called Bea. But also, I love my hometown of Manchester.
And you're from? You're from where are you actually born? In?
Well, I was born in Oldham and swiftly moved to Manchester.
But and there you've lived all your basic life. So it's like, and I think there is definitely living up around here. There's a strong connection. So, and you've got any tattoos that you regret having? Is it an easy thing to get carried away with having too many done?
I don't think it's that. I think it's just making sure that you go to somebody decent and don't do what I did, which was go, my first couple of tattoos, I'm going to get a couple, but I'm going to get them cheap.
Right.
And I went to like cheap places that had been recommended, but I'd not looked at their work.
Right.
I'd not anything. I just went, someone said that they do good stuff at this. And I went in, told them what I wanted, and they just did a really horrible
Is that what you now?
Like this.
Oh, so this is like a Celtic warrior symbol?
It was just some crap that they did. I said I wanted something...
and it's going right around your arm. It's like a sort of... Is that a black ink?
I said I just wanted... I wanted this eye, and then some tribal stuff going around the sides, and it just looked horrible and they messed it up. Okay. So I'm having it all blacked out and some other stuff done by the lady that actually runs Monster Search. Kiri, she's also an award-winning tattooist.
Oh, right, okay. So, that's one question I've got at the end. My very last question will be, who should I have on the show?
Yes.
But that's for you to decide. And coming right down to the sleeves, and these wonderful, we'll get them, this is part of your cognitive merchant company, and this is really interesting because we were talking about it earlier, and these are like gauntlets, and this is the leather work that you design and make for gaming. So tell us about, what's popular at the moment? These seem, because you all seem to be wearing them as well, which is a sure sign.
These cuffs, they're like a basic leather cuff that's got some nice whip stitching around the outside, but the main thing is that the symbol that's on the front that we've embossed on is a D20, and a D20 is basically a 20-sided dice, and that is the main dice that you use when you're playing something like Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder, some of these tabletop games. So we took the D20 and we put our logo on the inside of it. So that's what these are. And
that's the logo there. So we've got two axes. So it's like a deep dark maroon sort of cuff with two buckles at the back. And then we've got the logo of the dice. And then underneath it, is that like a cog?
That's our Cognitive Merchant logo. So it's like a 3/4 cog for the C. And then it's like a little M made out of leather.
Wow, that's incredible. And then the two axes on the side as well.
Because each set that we make like this are always different. So, for instance, like the ones that are here today, mine have axes on them, like crossed axes. Bees have like octopuses on them, and they are like mixes of green and blue, so it's quite like an aquatic theme. And then there's another one that again are red, and they've just got a set of dragons on them.
Well, we'll pop to your workshop in a minute because we'll have a look round. So we paused it there, and I went to the back of where the Cognitive Merchant crowd work, and we had a little look around their studio. So this is the Funny Peculiar podcast, and we've come to the workshop now with Jay, and as I said, they're all with a mass order on for which event is it?
It's for Games Expo.
Games Expo,
Games Expo in Birmingham.
And we've got, and now I've interviewed Magik Ash before he was on another podcast, which will be coming up soon. What's Ash actually working on at the moment?
These are the dice cups.
These have been quite popular.
So we're doing lots of different styles, but these are like the templates that get formed first. Before we dye them and put on all the bits of fluff to make it individual.
So this is like separate bits of leather basically. That's all template cut out, and then Ash he's putting. Is that like a?
It's just a hole punch. So that we've got holes to thread through. But everything, as you can see, like everything is done by hand. We cut every single individual one out.
I came in, I could see everybody leaning back on the chair. The arms go up. Everyone's like taking a break from because it is quite physical work. So it's like so once that is the hole punches go in, then it gets. And Bee's over there. Hello, Bea.
Hello.
Yeah, there we are. And Bee's over the side because, as I said, there's a bit of a production line here. So this is. I know this isn't a dice, but Bee's now. If I'll just come over, you're actually. This is now one of the. Is this with one of the gaming kits?
So I'm just making a dice tower for one of them.
So that's dyed leather now, and then how's that actually being held to the leather?
With rivets.
Rivets. Oh right, okay, and that again.
And that gets. Squashed together.
Yeah. So it's quite physical work that you. And this is the gauntlets.
Yeah. So these are the basic like template for the gauntlet.
So again, leather dyed with, and then how do you actually get the detailing on the?
You use tools to hammer them in.
Right. Okay. Yes, I heard.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's literally like a metal stamp. Right.
So
okay.
you literally.
So this is a sort of archdeacon's hat, but with two tabs coming. I'm trying to look, thinking, what is it? How do I?
But it's when it curls round and it goes round your wrist.
It leaves
like a pointy bit of your elbow.
That sort of Knights and Templar sort of.
Very Knights Templar style.
Templar look. So
only it has our logo on it.
not the other dark underworld
from
the 4 centuries ago. Fair enough. And just looking around as well, we've got there's a spray sort of area there.
Yeah, our airbrush section. We've got an airbrush section here. We've got a worktop for tooling that's like a solid marble piece. Hand press to make some tooling and doing things like rivets and eyelets a little easier. And then we've got the main big table that we all sit round while we're constantly leather working.
And the music's on, and you're grinding it out.
We have music on, or like funny podcasts, or gaming podcasts, things like that.
No, brilliant. Thank you for letting me see.
Welcome.
That's brilliant. It was a great look around the workshop. So much industrial stuff going on. Anyway, we nipped back, and I carried on talking to Jay. And then what I'm interested in is the live action gaming.
Yeah.
So this is huge now, isn't it?
LARPing's getting bigger.
So it started off. Is it right? It started off with Dungeons and Dragons in the 80s or 70s, 80s.
Yeah, kind of. I think, I'm not an expert on it on the timeline, but I think basically there was a lot of reenactment and people wanting to do kind of war reenactment, like Civil War reenactment,
and that's always gone on. I think they call them Weekend Warriors. And
then you had the game Dungeons and Dragons, which is like a fantasy role-playing game where you take on the persona of a character along with some friends, and you go adventuring. And then you're doing that at a table, rolling some dice. Some people really want to be able to dress up as their character and really embody that character and actually try to physically do some of those things. So then that turned into live action role play. So they can dress up as their fantasy characters, whether it is kind of Lord of the Rings style or whether it's Star Trek. It's all LARPing, it's all live action role
play. So you'll have the board game there, just for people that have not heard of this before. So you have the board game, the dice, the players, sort of up to 6 or 8 people, and then you play it like you normally do a board game, but rather than you move your counter or whatever around, you then actually enact
So basically, for live action role play, it is that you turn up at a set location in your costume, and everything that you has to have a physical representation. So say if you say, I use a staff as my weapon, you have to have a physical representation of that staff. The same as, say if you say, I wear leather armour or I wear chainmail, you need to have something on you that at least kind of looks like that chainmail or whatever. And then when you go into combat, you actually fight each other. It is, there's lots of rules around it, so nobody gets too hurt.
I was going to say, is it ever kicked off people have gone, you took my card, and it's piled over?
It's more. I think the only kind of injuries happen very accidentally. It's just things like if you are taking if you're trying to say you were to take a swing with your quarterstaff, and you were wanting to hit them in the head, so you wouldn't actually hit them in the head, you'd hit them on the shoulder and you'd shout out headshot, so that point, as it were, counted as a headshot. But obviously people are all moving. Sometimes people move and it ends up being an actual headshot. But these, all the weapons and stuff are made out of kind of a very stiffened foam and things like that, so it's all nice and safe.
This is where the games decide. So in this particular next move, they'll do a bit of live action role play.
No, it's in the Dungeons and Dragons, that's all around the table. But whereas live action role play is the entire game is played out on a field or a forest or whatever. So there's no rolling of dice. There's no. But there is a story. It's like the refs that are around you. They will walk you through the story.
Really? And what do the referees work?
They literally work like the dungeon master.
And they'll be in cloaks and all that.
They can walk you through the story, so that they basically say, okay, so you're sitting in a tavern and you've had a letter that somebody is wanting to recruit somebody for an expedition, and then physically another character will come into that room and have dialogue with you, and you can talk back.
So it's quite theatrical.
It's all of Dungeons and Dragons and all of LARPing. It's all theatre. That is why, every actor from every computer game you've ever played, probably at some point has played Dungeons and Dragons. Because it is, for an actor, It is just the most unbelievably amazing tool, because you are constantly role-playing a different character. Dungeons and Dragons teaches you empathy, because you can't be good at everything.
Yeah.
So you have to work within a group. So say you might be good at long-distance fighting, but up close you're useless.
Right.
So you need that guy next to you who's good with an axe.
Okay.
And it teaches you how to work with a team. It teaches you empathy, because you're constantly being a different character. So you have to think to yourself, okay, so how would this person think in this situation? And that is really good for acting and life in general.
And so with the board game, say, and what are the most popular? So Dungeons and Dragons, Pathway.
There's Pathfinder.
Pathfinder,
which is very similar to Dungeons and Dragons. And then you have Shadowrun. That was another one, which is kind of a little bit more futuristic. You use technology in it and things like that. But they're the main ones that we've played.
That's quite popular at the moment. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you've got the LARPing, which is the live action role play, but that's just, again, people meeting up. And this will be in a building, a field somewhere, anywhere you want, basically.
Yeah.
And you're also doing multiple characters then.
When you're LARPing, you're still just one character.
Right, okay.
It's just that it might be, say, with the Dungeons and Dragons game, that might be you and maybe 5 to 8 other people.
Sure.
But with LARPing, there's lots of people taking the turns being monsters.
Okay.
And there's a few of you taking the turn being heroes.
Right.
So as you're adventuring through, like for instance, my first time LARPing, I was kind of walking up a hill on my own. I'd gone a little bit further ahead of the party. Another person had come back who was being a scout. They'd come back and said, "Oh, there's some trouble over that hill." And as I looked up, there are 14 men in masks with axes charging at me.
Oh my! Okay.
So, like, that's
and
the way it is.
What did you do in that?
I stood and fought. I got killed, but I stood and fought. And it was fun. That was my very first taste of LARPing, because I don't have a mass amount of energy, so I thought I'd be a spellcaster. Okay. But somehow I ended up at the front and just got mobbed.
And the referees can't pull out red cards.
No. Well, the referee's there to basically walk you through the story and then count points. So as these monsters are attacking you, he can shout out things like, "Your arm's gone." Like if they're hitting you in the arm a lot, your arm might come off. So you're like, "Oh, I can't use that now." If you get a leg off, then you got a hop. It's like, some of it's really cheesy fun, and some of it's just a really amazing storytelling.
But it sounds like it's fun as well to do.
It really is, and it's just a lot more physical, and you are outside in the fresh air doing things rather than in a room.
That could change football in this country. They just swap the referees, and if a player heads a ball, it's like your head's off, and then
give them all some axes.
I like that. I like the idea that because that, I suppose, in a video game reality, that's what happens, isn't it? That you get you lose your arm and stuff like that, and the little first aid kit thing comes out, doesn't it? That's brilliant. And so you were more or less attacked by 14 people.
I just got mobbed.
Did you get any of them back?
And
you got a few back.
I literally managed to kill a few. But then there was just too many. I just got mobbed.
And what's your character's name that you were playing?
Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember.
Do you make them up on the day, or is it?
Normally. I can't remember.
Or
it was quite a while ago. Yeah.
Oh, right. Is there any examples of people might adopt a name just to give us?
Oh gosh, I've got lots of different D&D ones. I've got Rex Amaril, which is actually on a live stream that we put out. So we basically every fortnight play Dungeons and Dragons, but we stream it out live on Twitch and then we put it on YouTube. And my character in that is a druid, so he can turn into animals, and he uses different nature magic and stuff.
Fantastic. So there's a lot of people there's a lot of thought that goes into it's not.
Well, this is one of the reasons why we invented the DM's kit that we invented with the Cognitive Merchant doing the leatherworking, was because the person that runs a Dungeons and Dragons game, the dungeon master or the games master, they have to think of so much stuff. They have basically either need to know all about the world that they're running this game in, or they need to have invented an entire world, and not just an entire world, but an entire population of people that you're going to meet, and then they have to think up a story of where you're going to travel through, and every decision that you as a player make, they have to react to that.
Sure.
So it's a lot for them to remember, and we made this kit to make their life a lot easier.
Okay, and yes, because and again, this is huge in America now. They've got these massive, not comic cons, but these
like gaming cons,
cons and stuff. And you were saying earlier that you're preparing a lot of stuff for. Just go through the stuff you got coming up down there.
Yes. So the next con that we're attending is Games Expo, and that's in Birmingham.
Right.
And we're basically, because our business, we don't tend to keep stock, because we make stuff to order. People basically put an order in for a bespoke item, we make it, we send it out to them. But because we've got all this stock to build up, we're just kind of working away.
It's like a little elves workshop in there. I can see the intensity of, and we've seen that earlier, and it's the briefcase, the dice cases as well. They're quite popular.
Yeah, because the main sets of things that we make is our all-in-one DM kits. We make dice cups, we make dice bags, we make dice trays, because dice are addictive and we need stuff to put them in.
And these are special dice as well, aren't they?
It's
like, as you said, it's like 20-sided, aren't
they?
So
you get 20-sided dice, different sided dice for different things.
Right, okay.
And then we make costuming and leather armour. So we make leather performance armour for fire performers and burlesquers and things like that. But then we also make LARP-safe leather armour for LARPers.
Right, okay.
And we make costume armour for different people, but it's all very high quality, and everything's individual. We don't just make a few pieces and churn it out and stamp it out. Every single item is hand stitched, handmade, and it's very likely that it's made with a specific individual in mind.
Yeah, sure.
So it just means that
do you get requests and orders for particular? What's some of the requests that you've had? Any sort of people want a strange, or we want an antler's head on a case?
Yeah, we've not had that many straight. We've had a dice cup be ordered recently, and they wanted it to be like a fox. Okay. So we've had to figure out how to.
Out of leather?
Yeah, really? So we make it out of leather, and then the outside we had to dye some fake fur orange with a little white spot, and make a little fur tail, which we've never had to do before.
And is that on your Instagram account?
It's not out yet, no, because we're literally still making it.
Okay, so look out for that one.
Yeah,
that's
and then
incredible.
The other is within Dungeons and Dragons and the fantasy setting, there is a monster called an Ankeg that's very kind of giant insect-like, and we're making a full set of armour in that style. Yeah. So it's very individual, lots of greens, lots of kind of shiny iridescent bits on it.
And one piece like that, how many people will it take to? Because I was seeing in the work there's a production process. So how long will that take to make a bespoke piece like that?
About a week.
Right.
Roughly about a week, with more than one of us on it, because it just needs to be done right. But what tends to happen with armour pieces is that you individually, say those particular gauntlets and the armour for it, that's something that I'm doing. Yeah. So because we want to keep it all the same, and I will always know exactly the level of dye that I used on the leather, things like that. Sure. So I will make that full set on my own. Yeah. While the others can carry on doing stuff like making dice bags or dice cups or helping with the kits. Yeah. The kits are the main thing, and they take a few people to do, because otherwise they take forever to make.
They look, it's magnificent. I saw one earlier. They are wonderful to look at.
They're a little pride and joy.
Well, absolutely, and it does. It just certainly you feel that. And I can imagine someone going to a live event or gaming, you'd feel special with that.
Yeah. It's our whole thing is trying to take a little bit of the people who's gaming's imagination and bringing it to life, so that they've got it in front of them, and it helps them kind of get into character, or it helps them get into the mindset of gaming, or even just like, this is a magic item that was in my game that I have managed to pull out into reality. And we love that.
And I think you're into it as well, and you can see
that's why we do it. We started this because we're gamers, and because we love the fantasy genre, and we love D&D, and we love doing LARPing. So we were like, let's make some things for some of our friends, like things that we would like, and we started making this stuff because we needed stuff and couldn't afford the stuff out there.
And it caught on. People wanted more.
And then we just, people kept messaging, and now it's just gone crazy.
And what do your family think? Are they like, well, this is, it's Jay, he likes to...
their
support.
I mean, there's only really my dad around at all, and he's just like, it's good. He doesn't really have like... He doesn't really have a major opinion.
But at least at Christmas and birthday, you can give him
it's like there's a wallet.
Here's a gauntlet. So have something different. So it's like...
Just imagine my dad in armour now. That's hilarious.
And you probably hear people be listening going, what's going on? We are actually in a rehearsal studio, but there's pole dancing going on, and there's other stuff going on.
We've got aerial hoop being taught. We've got
aerial hoop, which is again a discipline.
So it's basically like a hoop dangling from the ceiling. You do stuff on that. There's pole being taught. There's dance being taught, like hip hop and whatnot.
Okay, so it's all. It's honestly so much activity. But before I go, I'll probably do another podcast because it's just been so interesting. Cool. But my last question is, who do you think I should have on the show? Who do you think I should speak to?
Oh, Kiri. Kiri, the head of Monster Circle, otherwise known as Dolly Monster.
Right, Dolly Monster.
She is not only, like, we refer to as Mummy Monster, because she looks after us all and makes sure that we're all alright. She's the one that really has pushed Monster Circle forward, and it's her baby. And on top of that, she's like the most loveliest person you'll ever meet, and an amazing artist. Like her tattoos win the awards left, right and centre. The place that she actually tattoos at, Dabs Tattoos, we call them like the Dabs family, because it's very much a family orientated tattoo business. It's owned by a couple that have got their 2 kids there, and they live there, and everybody within the studio is like family. They are, and they're all lovely. It's like really good how lovely
Fantastic.
they are. You love going there, even if you're not getting tattooed. You love going there to just like spend the day and shoot the breeze.
Because it's an event.
But Kiri is just an amazing artist.
Brilliant, fantastic. Well, as the band practically strike up, we can hear it coming through the walls now. So it's like, Jay, thank you very much today, and thanks for coming on Funny Peculiar Podcast. Thank you.
You've been listening to Funny Peculiar. Tune in next week. More great guests.
So that was the brilliant Jay Coates from Cognitive Merchant down at Airborne Studios in Manchester. Again, you can follow him. I'll give him a quick recap on the Facebook. It's Cognitive Merchant and Anthony J. Coates. Instagram, it's Cognitive Merchant or JW_Spotlight. Twitter is Cognitive Merch. They've got a YouTube channel as well. Just put in Cognitive Merchant. And the web address, which is www.thecognitivemerchant.co.uk. I'll list that all on the iTunes biog, and it will go on the website. Thank you again for listening, and don't forget, keep it funny peculiar, keep downloading, keep listening, and let us know your comments if you're enjoying the show and who you enjoy listening to the most, and hopefully we'll get them back on. So get ready, next week more great guests. Thanks very much for listening, and keep it funny peculiar.